Number 3.
My name's Jeff Powers. I'm an Ottawa South resident. Pleased to see you all here. Pleased to see all these people here. My question is not about scandal or mismanagement and spending that's out of control. Bad government is bad government, and there's nothing we can do about that. It's water under the bridge. What I'm asking Mr. Young is, looking forward, how can we balance the budget? How can we go from record income in the province to a balanced budget that will give us some sanity in this province?
Let's first start by saying this province, as you said, tremendous income, tremendous wealth generated by this province. We do not have an income problem. We have a spending problem. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. This government increased spending 60% in 10 years. So, first thing we do is we look at the Drummond Report commissioned by this government with hundreds of recommendations on how to save money and balance the budget. This government commissioned it, and like when they commissioned the gas plant, promptly threw it out when it didn't fit their needs. We will continue to prioritize, like I mentioned, things that are important to people, things that are important to residents. Focus on those and find better, more efficient ways to deliver other things. We'll eliminate the scandals. Like I said, there's water on the bridge, it's gone. We will not do that. We will lower taxes for businesses. We will lower taxes so they can hire more people. Those people will pay income tax. Income tax will make up for the lost revenue from business taxes. Thank you.
Mr. Young, my third random order has Ms. Funicello for this.
Thank you. We will, as I said, we will protect public services. It is of the utmost importance to do that. We have already worked to get a job creation tax credit to ensure that we're providing incentives to business to create jobs rather than simply giving large corporations tax giveaways. While large corporations are able to take out their supporters and wine and dine them and not pay any HST, we all know what we're paying, and it needs to be turned. The trickle-down effect doesn't help. We need to make sure that we put our resources in place where it's going to make the most difference and make life more affordable for our families.
Thank you, Ms. Funicello. Mr. Post, would you like to address this question?
Sure. I guess we can start by reducing the size of government. Reduce government spending. And I hate to keep beating a dead horse, but I really feel strongly about transparency, that if government is run with transparency, government will be forced to make common sense decisions that if we see where they're taking our money and putting it, and they can't just throw it away on things like, e-health and OLG and whatnot, and high executive salaries and high expense accounts and slush funds that or go to friendly corporations or friendly firms with the people that are in power. I really feel strongly on transparency.
Thank you, Mr. Post. Mr. McGruer, you'd be next, please.
You can get from the party's provincial website our opposition budget 2012-2013. They're very similar. They both contain a short list of about 10 items. The primary one, the most important one of which surrounds healthcare. Healthcare and the budget associated with it are swallowing the province alive. Expenses are growing far faster than inflation. Spending in general has been at triple the inflation rate, and healthcare is even higher than that. Healthcare, as we have it today, is not an insurance plan. We propose to make the existing healthcare system a crown corporation. Sorry, I was stumbling over the word. A crown corporation running with the same budget as it has today, and its premiums would be tied directly to how much it spends. So it would no longer be a tax expense, it would be an insurance expense. With a couple of associated things, we could close down the revenue department of the province, eliminate all income tax, and instead pay an insurance premium. Somewhat like Dalton said when he was elected and promised not to do.
Thank you, Mr. McGruer. Monsieur Brisson.
How do we become more efficient? Well, you have to stop things like Presto. Presto card costs hundreds of millions of dollars to the city of Toronto. When Xerox and Visa, private sector, were ready to do it for pennies on the dollar, what the Toronto city was forced to spend. Same thing for Ottawa. The government cannot get involved in trying to give a service that the private sector can do better. That's where you have to start making the savings. Yes, some social programs might get cut because the private sector can do it better, cheaper, if they're allowed to compete against the government for providing those various services. That's the answer we have for it.
Thank you, Mr. Rousseau. Mr. Trammell?
Hey, I like OLG. 10 years ago, I moved to the Brantford Casino. That's why I ain't been here no more. You guys don't have a good poker game. I make my living. You know I'm a professional gambler, teaching assistant of the mathematics of gambling course at Carleton University. And that question can't happen. Everybody borrows money at a bank. You can't get it anywhere else. Government doesn't print it, it's a debt or two. And if everybody borrows 10 and everybody owes 11, you can't ever have a balanced budget without beating it out of your neighbor. That's why mortgage means death, gamble in French. Just like musical chairs. Someone always goes under, loses their house, has a budget deficit.
Thank you, Mr. Trammell. Mr. Fraser?
Mike Harris and Ernie Eves doubled our debt. They did so while firing nurses and teachers and public servants. And then they hid a $5.6 billion deficit. Tim Hudak wants to replay that movie. I'm not interested in watching it again. We have a plan to balance the budget by 2017, 2018 in a way that's prudent and protects those services that we all depend on. We've met and we've exceeded our targets in the last 5 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fraser. Mr. Redlands?
Overall, I think the overall thing here is what we're hearing is transparency. And basically, transparency for our dollars. It's quite obvious that dollar for dollar has to be accounted for. So, yeah, I agree that we have to have some kind of transparency and some even possibility of a recall if they don't follow what we voted them for.
Thank you, Mr. Redlands. Ms. Howard?
Well, Jeff, from your question, I hear that you are looking for balance in a particular way. You're looking for accountability at the same time, how things can be better managed. And kind of going on what John's saying, I would propose electoral reform is a good place to start. Keep people accountable. The more voices you have, there's a number of people that have voted Green in the last election, and their voices aren't heard. And our position in Queen's Park is to hold people accountable. That's the whole point. But unfortunately, working with voter recall, for example, would bring power to the people. You can sign a petition if you don't believe in a particular legislation, or you don't believe that a particular representative is representing you the way that you want. This is accountability in the most true form. But also, just to also speak on another point that many people don't necessarily know, legislation in Elections Ontario, in order to get 20% of your, you have to get 15% of the popular vote to have 20% of your campaign expenditures back for all parties in a particular riding if you win the riding. It's very difficult for small parties to do that.
Thank you, Ms. Howard. And thank you all. Who has numbers 6 to 10?